time is really the currency of life and you can't get it back. And as our children were growing and both of us were still working full time, we were saying to ourselves, we would really like to be able to spend more time doing what we really want to do, whether it's to be with our family, to travel, spend more time taking care of our own health. So, and I always knew that real estate was something on the back burner that we were going to get to. This was this
With tell us who you are, where you live, where you invest, right? So the total ARV of your portfolio and your day job. Matt, what about you? Tell us about you.
What's up, everybody? Matt Flynn. My wife Angela and I live in Providence, Rhode Island, with our two children, Noah and Louisa, who are both teenagers. She is a teacher. She'd be here right now if she could. She wanted to be here, but they only give her a half an hour break for lunch. So she's not here with us today. I work full time as a home care physical therapy assistant. That's my day job. In terms of we just started with open spaces in June. We already knew that we wanted to start investing in real estate. We had already been working on a project at our primary house, at our residence that we bought in 2024 to complete the lower level and turn it into an Airbnb or a short-term rental. So during that process, it just got the ball rolling. And that's how we stumbled upon open spaces, which has been amazing. We finished that ADU. We just refinanced on our home, on our primary residence. So our total ARV, so we only have one home in Philly. So we invest in Philly now. And we purchased that first BRRRR back in July and completed it in October and then refinanced it in December. That's where we're at the moment. So total ARV, we'd have to include our primary residence as well too. That would get us to 790, and the total equity of both of them is 324.
Love
So
that.
that's where we're at.
That's
Just getting
fantastic.
going, but we have a big year planned.
Yeah, that's amazing. And look at the amount of equity you guys have. I just think it's so insane. And we don't talk about this enough, you guys, but like this is the only real estate investing strategy that allows you to create equity out of thin air. It's Nidhi calls it your net worth factory. We're building because we do all the different strategies and nothing builds your net worth the way this strategy does. So I love that you mentioned your equity as well. So that's awesome. Let's get into your mission, your why. I'd love to know what's the mission of your real estate investing business? Why do you do what you do?
Yeah, so that time freedom and the location freedom, that's a real biggie for us. I'd say maybe about 10 years ago, Ange and I really got deliberate about trying to, let's say, the FIRE movement, retire early or start to take a look at, time is really the currency of life and you can't get it back. And as our children were growing and both of us were still working full time, we were saying to ourselves, we would really like to be able to spend more time doing what we really want to do, whether it's to be with our family, to travel, spend more time taking care of our own health. So I always knew about investing, and I'd been investing in the stock market since I was probably 18 years old. And so we really doubled down on that about 10 years ago and really started pouring money into the stock market. And thankfully, a lot of it worked out well thanks to COVID because the market crashed and we shoveled a bunch of money in at the time, and that's really come back nicely. However, it just wasn't moving the needle fast enough. And I always knew that real estate was something on the back burner that we were going to get to. This was the right time. I'm pretty good about looking over numbers, where we stand on our net worth and where we're going to go and when we're going to get there. It was time to add another asset class into the mix. And the way that you guys presented it, you and Nidhi, bringing just your attention to detail and your education and your engineering background and the way that the modules were laid out, it really clicked with Ange and I. And so we always say, we have 5 degrees between the two of us. Why are there people dumber than us making more money? There's no reason for that. It's just crazy. So we chose real estate, and what we're doing is right now we're investing in Philly, and I'd say the mission of our particular little real estate company is to invest in areas that have been traditionally not invested in, and to be able to provide safe and stable housing for tenants in need, and to build partnerships with the housing authority and the local vendors there. And I'm proud to say that we have. That's what we have done. We've made it a point to all of our agents from Philly, our project managers operate in Philly, our lenders are from Philly. So, so far so good. We're kind of living up to what we laid out for ourselves.
Yes. So if you were to think about Matt Flynn before versus or Matt 2.0, what has been the biggest shift that you've seen in yourself? How have you grown because of real estate investing, or because of just, I'll even say, like, real estate investing aside, starting a business and scaling a business aside, just not following the traditional path and having the courage to make a change, that alone can be a huge shift. So what's 2.0 for you? What has been something you've noticed in yourself that has surprised you pleasantly?
So a little side note is that we owned a business before. In 2011, we had opened a strength training and rehab business. At the time, our son Noah had just been born and our daughter Louisa was 2 years old. So, and my wife went back to work. She had the same kind of story that you did, going back to work, and
Yeah.
the kids are so young. And I managed and ran the business and grew it over time. And the challenge was that I didn't have a standard operating procedure for how to grow this business. I had degrees in exercise science and kinesiology, this degree. So it was a real challenge growing that business, especially when the kids were young. I was gone all day long. I'd get home and Ange would just put him to bed, and then I'd wake him back up just so I could see him, because I missed him so much. And so it was a very hard 5 years. What I did get comfortable with was delegating tasks, because I started to bring on one staff member, another staff member. I was pretty comfortable with that aspect. What I didn't, as the business was growing, what I didn't do was borrow money. I was kind of like Nirmal. I was just like not interested in borrowing money. I was rolling all the profits back into the business and growing it that way. So the difference with open spaces is that, so coming into the open spaces program, we didn't lack the confidence to be able to invest successfully. We just lacked the competence to be able to invest in the BRRRR strategy. And that's where open spaces really opened up the door and gave us the blueprint for how to be able to do that. And so, it took me like less than 2 weeks to go through all those modules, because I just needed to know how. I didn't lack the confidence to put it into action. So right away, it was just off to the races. And so that's the 2.0 experience, is just the competence to be able to do it successfully. And you guys really laid out a good roadmap to be able to do that.
Love that. So you
Yeah.
had the confidence because you had ran a business before,
Mm.
but the skill and the competence, you were like, this is a new skill I'm going to acquire and go with it. I love that. The interesting thing that I've noticed is people who have ran a business before, whether they were successful or not, doesn't even matter. If you've dabbled on the business side before, I've noticed they come in and they get success so fast because they have one less skill to acquire, one less shift to make. Because starting a business is a whole, we're doing so many, all of you, we're doing so many things here, right? One is building wealth, borrowing money. All of these things require mindset shifts. And starting your own business, being your own boss, not really when I was an engineer, like if I had a problem, I would just go to my boss and be like, what do I do? You don't have anybody to tell you what to do here, right? So there are so many shifts that we have to make. So if you've ran a business before, I've noticed so many examples in this community. I see like they scale and they get results much faster because they've already worked through some of these shifts that you have to make when you start a business. So that's really interesting that you say that.
I want to add in something that I like about real estate versus when we owned the other business, was that my employees got a paycheck and they just expected that was the case. They were good employees, and they did great work and took care of our customers really, really well. But the expectation was that you were going to get paid. And I never defaulted on that at all. My employees got paid. Even if I didn't take home a
Oh yeah,
paycheck.
you eat last. As a business owner, you
However,
always eat last. The
with
leftovers
real
get to you.
estate,
Yeah.
with real estate, nobody gets to eat unless I eat. And that's what I
Oh,
like.
that's
My
interesting.
employees, if I'm not making money, they don't get to make money. That's just how it goes. And that starts right at the beginning. When you put all that into the property analysis sheet and you recognize, all right, this is either A, going to cash flow, B, I'm going to be able to refinance and pull money out of it. Once you reverse engineer that, you recognize that your agent, your contractor, even the hard money lenders, people that are going to be making money off of you, are only making money because you're making money.
That's true. They don't make
So
money unless you do the deal.
the important thing to keep in mind at the end of the day is nobody gets to make money unless I make money. And so as long as I'm making money, we're partying. So it's more motivation for my
Yeah.
employees to serve me, because the
Yes.
better you serve me, the more money you're going to make. And it wasn't always that way when you have somebody on a salary. They just, 4 o'clock rolls around sometimes and they're out the door. Enjoy your weekend. But with this game, with real estate, everybody's got to hustle. If you want to make money, everybody's got to hustle, not just me.
That's a good point. Yeah. Nobody is salaried, right? Because
No.
they're all working based on their commissions when you do the deal. And so that's, yeah. Vipa says, Matt Flynn, that's an awesome mindset shift. Yes. That's a very interesting take. That's a first. I don't think I've heard that take before.
Look, we're in business. Business exists for three reasons and three reasons only. One, to create revenue. Two, to create profit. profit, and 3 to create income. That's it. So it has to do those things. We're not
Yeah.
here to make friends. I mean, I'm here to make friends. I love everybody in this community.
Yeah.
I don't go into business to make friends. That's it's not what I do. I go into business to make money and by extension, be able to serve the community.
Impact.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay. So if someone's just listening to this, they have no clue who we are, or maybe they just joined the program. What's one piece of advice that someone could get from you and implement today? Any piece of advice for someone? Doesn't matter what level they're at, doesn't matter if they're just listening to this, they just ran into this. What would be something that they could execute right away?
Keep your eye on the 3 year timeline or keep your eye on that 5 year goal. That has to be out in front of you at all times. If you've intentionally sat down and you've laid that plan out for yourself and for your family, you know what the end is. And this game or this type of investing, we talk about it in this community, which is an awesome community to be in. And you always say it, Pollock, because this is the only place that I talk about real estate with anyone. And I'm so thankful for it. But outside of this, we all sort of only operate in our own microcosm. And we invested in this program, all of us, for a variety of different reasons. But I think everybody at some point in time, sooner rather than later, would like to be financially independent. So you have to keep the end in mind at all times. You have to know why you're doing it. Why are you giving up Netflix? Why are you giving up going on a cruise? Why are you giving up buying a new car? Why are you giving up all these things that you're giving up to put your time and energy into building your net worth? It's you have to keep the end in mind. I do it every morning by getting up and I have affirmations and goals that I'll sort of talk through that are related to my family, my health, their health, our financial future, just to keep it top of mind every day. And Pollock, I said it too. I like what Needy does. He has his big three that he lays out the night before for the next day. And that's been very helpful. What are the big three top of mind things that this business needs so that I'm not the bottleneck? My job is to find money and find properties. That's it. I want to be able to feed the team and keep people working. One thing that I think was important, I was thinking of this before Namal had made that great point, was that for folks like us that come into the program, let's say, and we don't have a lot of money to invest. We didn't inherit a lot of money. We don't have a trust that we got money from. We didn't win the lottery.
You wouldn't be here if you had millions of dollars.
Sure. So for all of us that are in the program that are still working W-2 jobs, and sometimes if we're single folks working W-2 or if we're married or spouse situation and both people are working W-2 jobs, it's really, really important to get our financial house in order as fast as possible. And by that, I mean to have the ability to be able to withstand a health crisis, whether it's your own or your loved ones, or your children, if you have children, God forbid, or to be able to withstand a change in the economy such that you may lose your job. Really, in essence, it's almost like, it's dangerous to not have your financial house in order.
Mhm.
It really, really is. So as a responsible person, especially when you become responsible for other people in your life, you have to invest. You have to do it, and you have to seek out the people that have been where you want to go and learn from them.
So good.
That's my advice. Oh, my last bit, keep your blinders on. You
Yes.
gotta keep them on. You can't, once you commit to that plan, that's it. Just put the blinders on and go. So what are we looking at? The 3 to 5 year plan?
Yeah.
As I was
What's your
thinking about it.
vision? What's
Yeah, the
next for
vision,
you?
right. So,
Yeah.
well, this year, starting with year one, we want to have 9 more properties. So that's what's going to happen in year one. So that by next year at this time, one of us is able to step away from our W-2 job and be able to work on this aspect of the business full time. And then 3.5 years out, max, we're both out of our W-2 jobs. Not completely, just in the nature that we do it now. I think Ange enjoys teaching. I enjoy helping my patients on a daily, weekly basis to get healthier and restore function and independence. So I don't think I'll ever quit my job entirely, but I'd like to quit doing it as a mandatory
Mm-hmm.
sort of responsibility. And
Optional.
then,
Yes. Yeah.
going out 3 to 5 years from now, so financially, monthly income of 270K a month, and that's what's going to happen. Is just of many different routes to get there. So to say, hey, that's going to be 100 or 200 doors, I'd be lying to you. It's probably going to be a combination of a lot of things along the way, a lot of 1031 exchanges. I'm sure of it.
Yeah, sure. You
Uh,
have to reshuffle the portfolio and harvest the equity every so often.
yeah, without a
Makes
doubt.
sense. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, don't get attached to any of your properties. You got to keep reshuffling it. Whenever there's equity in a property, you have to harvest it and redeploy it to gain further cash flow, to gain more doors, to, gain more assets. So yes, I love that you said that. That's awesome. Thank you guys. Appreciate all of you. See you next week for more fun and excitement. When you're ready to get serious, you can join us at theinvestoraccelerator.com.
It's like getting 1,000 episodes worth of information in 5 days, and it's everything you need to build your actionable plan to financial freedom and making work optional.